In 2092, humanity had completely ruined Earth. The high acidity of the soil no longer allowed plants to grow, and the air had become significantly dirtier. The Earth's elite, under the leadership of the Alts Corporation, moved to orbit, where they built a new home. Meanwhile, 95% of the Earth's population were forced to live out their last days on the polluted planet, and only those who obtained work visas could fly to orbit to serve the corporation's citizens, including cleaning up space debris. The head of the company, James Sullivan, is the richest man in the world and is over 150 years old. Yet he is in excellent health. For the selected 5% of people, whom he personally chose for their lack of genetic predisposition to human vices, he prepared a new cozy home on Mars. Thanks to the work carried out, Mars has become more than suitable for living. The restoration of Earth is not part of Sullivan's plans, so he lies to people, claiming that the new ecosystem restoration technologies are only suitable for Mars. The main characters of our story are a team of space sweepers, Captain Jang, pilot Tae-ho, mechanic Park, and a former military robot named Bubs. After another intense skirmish with competitors over valuable space debris, they capture a ship full of scrap metal and set out to dismantle it for subsequent sale. In one of the compartments of this ship, marked outs, they find a little girl in a spacesuit and bring her aboard. While the team is getting acquainted with the girl, Tae-ho sees a news report that extremists from the Black Foxes group have kidnapped a robot named Dorothy from the Outs company. This robot, which looks like a little girl, is actually a weapon of mass destruction with an integrated compact hydrogen bomb. The team immediately starts scattering in fear of an explosion, and Tae-ho finds a phone in her backpack with only one contact, someone named Khan. He gathers the team in a secluded spot and, considering that both Outs and the extremists are searching for the girl, suggests selling her to the latter. Tae-ho calls is numbered to discuss the ransom and immediately receives an offer from Khan -$2 million for the girl. Although the team is considered one of the best in space cleaning, they are deeply in debt. Tae-ho especially needs the money to find his little daughter, Suenai, who disappeared in space after an accident several years ago. Everyone is very happy about the upcoming ransom. The exchange is planned to take place in a trendy nightclub, where the sweepers go wearing masks. Outs combat unit also arrives at the club, ordered to destroy the girl as soon as she is found. While Tae-ho is negotiating the exchange with Khan, Dorothy gets out of the backpack and starts wandering around the club. She is immediately recognized, and panic ensues. Outs opens fire, but a force field suddenly forms around the girl, saving her and the team. Taking advantage of this, they escape and fly far into space. Gradually, the team begins to grow attached to the girl, who draws each crew member in her own way and reveals that her name is not Dorothy, but Ko-nim. Mechanic Park especially sympathizes with the girl, calling himself Uncle Tiger and promising to protect her. The girl performs a true miracle by reviving dying tomato sprouts, which not only start growing but also bear fruit. Tae-ho, who was initially skeptical of Ko-nim, decides to sell these tomatoes to those who have never seen such things in real life, and gradually, he too grows closer to the girl. Suddenly, Ko-nim is kidnapped by the Black Foxes, but the brave sweepers rescue the girl and capture the extremists. Captain Jang concludes that Ko-nim is not a robot because the girl ran to the bathroom, and robots, as we know, do not need to do that. She suddenly realizes that Ko-nim is the daughter of Kon Hyun, a nanotechnology specialist. The Black Foxes explain that they are not terrorists, but an environmental organization striving to revive Earth. They reveal that Ko-nim's father, accidentally made her unique. The girl was once terminally ill, and to save her, her father implanted nanobots in her. These nanobots began to perform miracles, revitalizing nature around her and interacting with the environment. The head of the Outs Corporation, Sullivan, took advantage of this to create trees of life, which turned Mars into a blooming garden. After that, he decided to destroy the girl to prevent this technology from being used on Earth, as his plan was for only 5% of selected people to survive and go to Mars. To achieve this, Sullivan needs to eliminate Ko-nim, who is practically immortal thanks to the nanobots protecting her. He plans to place the girl in an Outs plant located in Earth's orbit and detonate a hydrogen bomb there. After the explosion, the huge debris from the plant will crash onto the dying planet, triggering an apocalypse and eliminating those whom Sullivan considers genetic trash, unworthy of a place in the new world on Mars. Black Foxes are striving to save the girl, return her to her father, and prevent the destruction of their homeland and its remaining inhabitants. While the team discusses the situation, soldiers search the station for the girl. Tae-ho tries to pull her through the ventilation, but they are discovered, and a chase ensues. After several risky maneuvers, they save the girl and escape, but the chase continues in space, where they are attacked by the UT's fleet. As a result, their ship is thrown off course and ends up in the so-called Lagrange point, a vast field of space debris swarming with nanobots that devour everything in their path. The team almost resigns themselves to their fate as the hull begins to crack, but then the girl looks at them with her beautiful eyes and Medley sends all the aggressive nanobots away from the ship. Later, UT spreads news worldwide, accusing Tae-ho and Pak of terrorism. Sullivan conducts an investigation and recalls that Chong once worked for him as one of the best weapons developers, but then tried to kill him and, after failing, went into hiding. Tae-ho was one of the first successful career military officers tasked with eliminating undesirable elements. He lived in wealth and was a UT citizen, but after he saved and adopted a girl, he could no longer do the dirty work. For this, he was fired, stripped of his citizenship, and ended up in the slums on Earth with his daughter. There, having fallen from grace, he could not always watch over her, and she disappeared after a catastrophe. Since then, he has been unsuccessfully saving money for a search team to find his daughter. Mechanic Pak, who calls himself Tiger, was the head of a drug cartel on Earth and was sentenced to death, after which he escaped. Meanwhile, the team contacts Kong, Ko-nim's father, and meets him in a safe place. However, UT's fighters track them down and use an electromagnetic pulse, disabling all electronics. Then Sullivan himself appears and orders everyone to be killed except for the team accompanying Ko-nim. He pours out $4 million in front of Tae-ho and says that this is double the payment for the girl, twice what her father offered. Sullivan watches as Tae-ho takes the money and laughs, claiming that Tae-ho is not as honest and decent as he thought himself to be. The villain promises the entire team amnesty for all their crimes and leaves. Tae-ho takes his 10% for $100,000 and transfers it to the search bureau. Then he sits down and reads in his daughter's diary that she wants to become as kind a person as her father. This inspires him to return to the ship and save Ko-nim. The team immediately takes off, but they are pursued by numerous UT's missiles. Jang fights them off with a super rifle, and Bubs comes to the rescue with his harpoon, but they are still chased by too many ships and missiles. Tae-ho decides on a desperate move and speeds into the atmosphere. The ship creaks at the seams, but thanks to the team's experience and coordination, they manage to survive. They reach the orbital factory, where the bomb and Ko-nim are located. It turns out that the bomb cannot be defused, and the only way to save the girl is to evacuate her at least 5,000 kilometers from the epicenter of the explosion. Otherwise, the pulse will destroy her nanobots, and even if she survives, she will soon die from the disease they protect her from. The team fends off a UT soldier who is so strong that she even broke a combat robot's leg. But Uncle Tiger is not easily intimidated. He throws her out and cuts off her arm. The sweepers try to escape, but the corporation sends a huge number of ships. Realizing they can't handle it alone, Captain Jang calls on other space sweepers, broadcasting on an open channel that Earth is about to perish from the falling factory, and that they all need to do a good deed one last time. Fellow sweepers immediately come to their aid, tearing apart enemy ships and clearing the way for the brave team to save the girl. Meanwhile, on all open communication channels, UT citizens hear a previously recorded secret speech by Sullivan, where he talks about blowing up the factory, which will fall to Earth, and blaming the Black Foxes for it. He also states that he doesn't care about the people on Earth, calling them genetic degenerates. The supposedly kind and decent corporate citizens are shocked by the truth about their leader, who had promised them a bright future. Our heroes push the pedals to the metal, trying to cover 5,000 kilometers to save Ko-nim when they are suddenly intercepted by the main villain. He is furious, demanding that they hand over the girl. However, it turns out that when the team left the factory, they decided not to evacuate the girl 5,000 kilometers from the bomb but instead take the bomb far away from Earth and Ko-nim. During the long flight from the station, they found a moment and transferred Ko-nim to one of the sweeper ships that had come to help, while they flew off with the bomb. Thus, they drew the pursuers' attention to themselves, and when the timer ran out, they said their final words to each other, ready to explode together with the main villain. People who were expecting the factory to explode on Earth were greatly surprised to see the explosion in space. The friends of our sweepers shed tears and Medley said goodbye to them. But suddenly, Ko-nim made her beautiful eyes again, and a strange bright spot quickly moved toward Earth. It turned out that the girl had commanded the nanobots from the Lagrange point, which once almost devoured their ship, to protect the team. Miraculously, they survived the massive explosion and found themselves in the same positions in which they had said their goodbyes. Then UT's corporation officially apologizes to all Earth inhabitants and promises to make every effort to restore it. Tae-ho, with the help of modern communication tools, nanobots, and Ko-nim's mediation, says a final goodbye to his daughter's consciousness before she permanently leaves orbit and out of reach into space. The story ends with Ko-Nim's words that the robot Bubs fulfilled his longtime dream and became an android girl indistinguishable from a human. Captain Jang quit drinking, and Uncle Tiger removed his tattoo so as not to scare new friends. Ko-Nim periodically comes down to Earth to create new trees. Tae-ho bought himself 10 pairs of new shoes. The team continues doing what they love, collecting orbital debris, because they are not saviors of the world but space sweepers. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new amazing stories.